So I recently dropped a few videos about my thoughts on Attack on Titan. One being that Eren is enslaved by something or someone that's causing him to go and commit crimes against humanity. And the other calling out people who are using AOT as a gross metaphor for the conflict happening overseas. I've gotten a few comments that were very upset with me because I didn't want to use Attack on Titan as a one-to-one metaphor or justification for what's happening in Palestine and Israel. 10 toes down, I'm not an Eren fanboy. I don't agree with what he's doing, and that's it. If you're mad at that, I don't know what to tell you. You got to deal with that yourself. This doesn't mean that I don't think Attack on Titan is a good anime. I actually think it's a very great anime. I'm actually currently reading the manga right now because I can't wait anymore for this last episode. And so most likely, or my goal is to finish the manga before I see the last part of the anime. But with this conflict that's currently going on that's captivated the media, I simply don't know. And your 8 to 10 page essay in my comment section about how angry you are won't get me to see things from your perspective. People kept saying that art imitates life, and it's a one-to-one comparison. I was shocked that these Eren anime stans were so quick to relate what's happening to real life. Some of y'all get upset with me when I pull out the similarities in the anime or your favorite anime or your favorite character that I believe can relate to Christianity or Jesus, which is wild because Jesus is real and Eren isn't. Jesus can give you a way better life than believing in this sad boy Eren. But since we're saying art imitates life, let's have that discussion with how I view AOT, because I believe, and most people in the world do, to a work of art, it's subjective. How you see the world through the eyes of art differs from other people. And I believe how you interpret something produces good or bad results. This is what Anime Relatable is about. Using anime and interpreting this art form to help you guys see Jesus and your need for him. Attack on Titan begins in a post-apocalyptic world where Eren, Mikasa, and Armin are all trapped inside the walls with the rest of humanity. This is because huge, gigantic humanoid titans have taken over the outside world and destroyed everyone outside the walls, or so they thought they did. The walls are to protect the rest of humanity from the titans until there's a breach in the wall by the armored and colossal titan. This sets off a course of events in the show that we don't really have enough time to explain that brings us to where we are before November 4th. Eren taking the founding titan, manipulating time, and becoming a mass murderer of the whole world while his friends try to stop him in the process, which they most likely will because the villain never wins in these stories. Eren's assault on humanity isn't unprovoked though. Marley, which is the other bad guy of the series, is horrible. They treated Eldians terribly because they have the blood of Ymir. They were treated as outcasts and only pawns for war to achieve dominance over the rest of the world. It's so bad in the way that Marley treats Eldia that there's this sad moment in the anime where it's revealed that Grisha's sister was killed because a Marleyan fed her to the dogs. This causes Grisha to join a rebellious Eldian force to bring back Eldia to its former glory, which they end up getting caught because his son Zeke is a whole snitch, and they are forced to become titans until Grisha becomes the attack titan, and this all starts the course of Eren's manipulation. Anime is full of political tropes, and some would say fascism, because you have both main characters, Marley, Eren, Eldia, fighting for dominance for their country. Overt racism and funny moments of genuine curiosity that might be offensive.
肌が黒いのですか?
俺たちを作ったやつはこう考えた。いろんなやつがいた方が面白いってな。君たちユミルの民も同じさ。俺たちは求められたから存在する。
誰が僕らを作ったの?
始祖ユミルに力を与えた存在。神だよ。
Can I just shout out on Yonkapon for reminding the world that God created diverse peoples in such a wholesome moment, and an affirming and a validating of the subject of Ymir. That's a wholesome brother right there. I'm not giving you the full breakdown of the show. There's plenty of recap videos and essays on YouTube that you should watch. You should watch those, or you should just watch the show. But how I see the show and interpret the show is that it's a tale told to be avoided and not to be emulated or comparing to current world conflicts. I know our favorite characters and shows we love to try and act like them, or at least be motivated by them. Like, there are plenty of anime out there that give you those vibes, but I don't think Attack on Titan is that though. This show is a picture of how cruel the human world can be. There's racism, there's slavery, there's murder, there's lies, all of these things, and it's a direct interpretation of how the human heart can be. There are many instances in this show that can be parallels to the real world. Many, if I wanted to, I could compare the suffering of the Eldians to the suffering of African American people. My ancestors have been through suffering. People in the comments want to tell me that I don't understand Attack on Titan because I don't want to compare it to the Israel-Palestine conflict that's happening overseas, when people that look like me were treated as second-class citizens or not even considered citizens. Whips, chains, babies' heads crushed, bitten by dogs when they were marching for peace and equality. I grew up in a town when I went to high school where you could be called the N-word by people and you're supposed to just take it as a joke because that's is what it is. And if you retaliate, you most likely will be the one getting in trouble. A lot of people in the comments don't think that me seeing this show, I couldn't make that justification of trying to form an African American rebel group to try and take back America because my ancestors built this land and what it is on their backs. But oh no, the same people that would use this show as a justification for whatever political agenda they have right now will end up calling me woke or telling me to get over it and not use Attack on Titan to justify that belief. Look in history of people in slavery, there were literally African slave rebellions of people against their slave masters. You think I don't understand what Attack on Titan is trying to do or communicate? That's just my interpretation. You take that however you want. But I wouldn't use that as a justification because I know that's not how I want to interpret this show. And I believe it's wrong. Bro, I know religious groups. I have family and people that personally believe that black people, that if they were to see Attack on Titan, they would say, if we were like Eren and the Jaegerists, black people in America would be in a different place, or our people would be on the top. In my Christian story, I have family, really close relatives that are part of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement that think this way. But people in the comments are like, oh, you don't understand Attack on Titan because no, I understand it perfectly. But I'm not choosing to use Attack on Titan as a justification for what cruel thing is happening in the world right now. And if you can't see that, I don't know what to tell you. Choosing not to interpret Attack on Titan's art that way, because what exactly is the fruit of it? More hate, more violence, more bloodshed, people being put on one side or the other on social media for the sake of trying to be relevant or acting like they care. I'm not doing that. You want to know what my interpretation of Attack on Titan is, because it's our subjective, that's what we're doing. But I would say that what's even more of an accurate representation of Attack on Titan is how evil the human heart can be. We have Marley and Eren, all these bad people on both sides. To its extreme, innocent people have died in the show, and the reason was justified. In Marley's case, enslavement of aliens meant to be a world superpower. In Eren's case, selfishly thinking that world eradication was actually going to free him and his people. I mentioned in my last video that Jesus said in Matthew 15 that out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, false witness, slander, theft. All of that is in AOT. It interprets Jesus' words really well because of the conclusion that we have in the show and the brutality that's been happening over the course of AOT's run. That's true for us as humans. You do all of this. This is what produces our wars in real time. This is what causes this world we live in to be a hard place, because out of the heart, you get terrible things. This is where you get the Hitlers. This is where you get the Stalins, all these crazy sadistic people who kill tons of people for their own selfish gain because of their heart. AOT does a great job in also portraying this biblical passage in Romans 1. It says, and since they did not see fit to acknowledge God, God gave them up to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. They were filled with all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice. They are all full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness. They are gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, haughty, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient, parents, foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Though they know God's righteous decree that those who practice such things deserve to die, they not only do them, but give approval to those who practice them. It seems like Attack on Titan interpreted how we are in this life to me. All of us have been subjected to this reality that we are not good people deep down. We do horrible things, some worse than others for sure. Attack on Titan and Eren's actions show you what doing things in your own way gets you. And not only that, just like we have the Jaegerists that have given approval to what Eren is doing, you have people that approve of all of those evil things mentioned. But there's hope for you. There's not hope for Eren because he's a fictional character, but there is hope for you. As a Christian, I believe we were made for God to love him and worship him, but because we wanted to do our own thing, we rebelled and sinned against a holy and just God, and we became separated from him. And now we try to do all these different things to get right standing with God, but they all fail. We deserve death, but God said, you know what? I know I love you. I don't want you to die, so I'm going to send my son Jesus to live the perfect life you cannot live, to die the death that you deserve, and then rise from the dead to justify you before a holy and perfect God. And you know what? It's free of charge. All you have to do is place your faith in Jesus, my son, who took the penalty on your behalf. This is what Ezekiel 36:26 says. And I will give you a new heart and a new spirit, and I will put within you, and I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh and give you a heart of flesh, and I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes and be careful to obey my rules. My friend, you need your heart clean. People's angry on social media and using AOT as an interpretation of art for disgusting things. They need their heart clean. And Jesus came to do that. You lie, you cheat, you steal. You need your heart clean. I don't care how you interpret this art. It really doesn't matter to me. You don't have to agree with me about how I just interpreted AOT. I won't lose sleep. But what I do care about is the fruit of that interpretation. And just because you think you're right doesn't mean it's beneficial for the society or people around you. Nor does everyone have to agree with you. I think we've grown comfortable with people not agreeing with our ideas and not necessarily having a conversation and shouting people down, canceling other people because they don't agree with what we think. If art imitates life, it's subjective, and you really can't do anything about that. But what's not subjective is the fact that you need a right relationship with God. So all this to say, interpret AOT however you want, but what's the fruit of that interpretation? Because if you're going to be angry with people and write 20-page comments, right, you're going to make videos about how this is a justification and this is if people don't agree, what's the fruit of it? You just sound bitter, and you got to deal with that. See ya.